Hello, my name's He Who Is in the Water. Going to be playing some Pauper today. So I've been out of commission for a while. Haven't played the format much. Back in August, started working on a Commander video with some other friends, Raptor 56, Crippling Sea, and Sarah Sizzle, and kind of ended up dropping the ball on that one a little bit. Lost the window for that to be most relevant. And then my grandmother had kidney surgery. Then my car died and I had to go buy a new one, which is a whole process. Then I got COVID. After that, started getting back into Dominaria United Limited, which is a fantastic format. Really loved that one. Tried to transition to playing Brothers War Limited. Hated it. Easily my least favorite format I've ever played. And after that, my grandfather passed away at the ripe age of 96. And after that, I started playing some Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, which has eaten up a lot of my free time. But for the last 2 months or so, I have been getting back into Pauper and really enjoying this mono red deck. I think the format's in a really good spot at the moment, and through the 30 or so leagues that I've played since starting back into it, I've really enjoyed the variety that the top 3 decks offer, and there's a lot of interesting deck building decisions that can be made within those decks. So I think it's a pretty fun time to be playing the format. So this red deck has definitely captured my heart the most, and let's talk about it. So a lot of what I'm playing here is pretty stock. You got 4 Chain Lightning, 4 Galvanic Blast, 4 Bolt, 4 Epicure, 4 Swift Spear, 4 Impulse, 4 Synthesizer, 4 Implement. Like, that's all just like pretty stock. Having 4 of a 2-drop of your choice is also pretty common. I have elected for Dwarven Forge Chanter has been my favorite, because I think in versus the top 3 decks of the format, which is going to be this mono red deck, Affinity, and the blue black Terror deck, I think Forge Chanter is the most effective, because when they go to remove it, you're going to force them to pay life, and generally that's how those games are going to play out, where they want to spend removal spells on it. But you can certainly build the deck with Cassic Flamebreather in the spot, or even Goblin Blast Runner from Brothers War, that Delverish type creature, I think is pretty easy to support. And I've tried it a little bit, and both of those other creatures are fine, but I just like Forge Chanter the most at this time, but it's fine to build those the other way. So then the big difference, I would say, of my build versus others is playing 3 Kuldotha Rebirth. I played 4 for a while, and I just could not stand it. I think it's very difficult to support casting 2 Kuldotha Rebirths for full value in your average game. And Rebirth, when it's like actively costing you resources, is just something that's very inefficient. The games that this deck ends up playing are going to be frequently higher resource, and being able to get Kuldotha Rebirth as a really efficient part of your curve is helpful, and it's a good card to play. But when that second copy to cast is starting to cost you resources instead of working in smoothly with your draw, I just really was frustrated by it, in the same way that you see I've omitted Lava Dart and Fire Blast because of those sacrificing lands as resources, or other spells at inopportune times, just to make sure that you are casting things as aggressively as possible. I like having the flexibility in this strategy to be more controlling, play a longer game, in addition to having some of your quick draws. I also have disliked for Kuldotha Rebirth because in a lot of matchups, you want to move away from it post-board, because decks will be bringing in efficient sweepers to do that, and when you can dodge those sweepers, your post-board games become a lot more tenable, where this deck can produce a lot of X1s, and if your opponent's just able to easily sweep that up, you want to try to be poised to play a game that goes through that and not just fold to it, because at the end of the day, Rebirth is just going to be a 3/3 for 1 mana in its best case scenario, where you're sacrificing a Synthesizer, Implement, or Star, and you're accessing those cards immediately. If it's not doing that, you're in trouble. You're down a lot of resources, and the card is not terribly effective. Just has a lot of diminishing returns. So also with supporting Kuldotha Rebirth, I'm playing 2 additional chromatic stars here. This was a suggestion that Raptor 56 gave to me originally to play more support for Rebirth. When they just picked up the list and it was 4 Rebirth and 4 Synth, 4 Implement, Epicure tokens, and the Furnaces to sacrifice, that's just woefully inadequate to me. That is not functional to support Rebirth in a timely manner. I think even just supporting the 3 Rebirth here, these 2 stars are pretty helpful and goes a long way towards making sure that you get to go like turn 1 Swift Spear, turn 2 Artifact plus Rebirth. And that is really important. And Star is not a painful card to draw otherwise, as being a good prowess trigger for Forge Chanter and Swift Spear. So I do think if you wanted to play 4 Rebirth, you would want to go up to like 8 of these effects. So like fill out the other 2 chromatic stars, and then Goblin Blast Runner becomes a bit more of a interesting card at that point. But I think that's just not the best build of the deck, because I do think Forge Chanter is better than Blast Runner for a couple of the main matchups. Also at this time, so I'm on 3 Rebirth now, not 4. That's a pretty clear indicator of what I'm going to say next, is that a Goblin Bushwhacker is a common one of that you see in these decks. Don't play it. It's not good. I cannot stand that card. I tried it a couple times, and every time it was very poor for me. It's a very difficult card to impulse into, and whenever I've had it cast against me, it's just looked really quite embarrassing. So please don't do that. I mean, I'm not going to hurt you if you do that, but just do better. It's just, I'm trying to pass that information on. That's just not, it's not worth putting in your deck. Another addition to this main deck is I've swapped one of the mountains for a Drossforge Bridge, just to help with Metalcraft for Galvanic Blast. And I could be convinced easily that the bridge isn't necessary, but I have found that the first one in the main deck has felt pretty free. Hasn't really screwed up your draws too much, and it has helped me a couple of times get Metalcraft for Galvanic Blast, and it is a night and day difference when Blast is on versus not, when being able to burn people out of the game or deal with a Mirror Enforcer or trade a Rebirth token or Epicure up into a Gurmag Angler. I think it's worth trying, and that's especially what I want to do, because every other list I've seen has been 13 Mountains, 4 Great Furnace, and ship it. Or some number of Forgotten Cave. But Forgotten Cave I really, really don't like, because we're going offline for maintenance in a little bit. Cool. Forgotten Cave I really have not wanted to even test, because when you impulse into that, it's just a tap lane that offers no other value, and I don't really see that being too useful that often. And the last flexible slots that I have in the main deck, I've used for Firebolt. Again, similar to Drossforge Bridge, could be convinced that there's a different way to use these slots, but I've liked Firebolt the most. Lava Dart and Fire Blast are the most common analogs that I'm playing Firebolt in place of. Going back to what I was saying earlier about Rebirth and costing you resources, I really enjoy that Firebolt gives you some of the flexibility of Lava Dart, where you can Firebolt a Sacred Cat and then have the spell left over to keep pushing damage with your prowess creatures or burn them out. And it also is just a good spell to impulse into. And I guess when I'm saying impulse, I do mean both Synthesizer and Reckless Impulse. It's just kind of these temporary draw effects. Firebolt is good to impulse into, because if you just throw it upstairs and you have this sitting in your graveyard, that's a pretty nice resource to have headed into the late game. Whereas when you impulse into Lava Dart or Fire Blast in opportune times, it can be really detrimental. I won't lie, I played a lot of the 1-0 Fire Blast, and I did really like it, because it does turn on some more turn 4 wins for you and punk some people out of games. So I do like that. I just think Firebolt is a little bit more consistent here. and a lot of the way that I've ended up playing the deck has been more controlling in mid-range matchups where you want a lot of value, and Firebolt is great for that. Specifically, if your opponent's on fairies or a Glinthawk deck with like Seeker of the Way, having Firebolt as an additional 2-for-1 removal spell that they have to respect going into the late game is a pretty nice tool to have that Lava Dart does not really do effectively. Although Lava Dart does give you more access to like turn 4, turn 5 wins with Swift Spear and Forge Chanter, but I don't feel like the difference between Lava Dart and Firebolt there is enough to warrant the flexibility that this one offers. Moving on to sideboarding. This sideboard has been constructed very differently than how I do most of the time, which is, I think, good here because this is one where I've like actually mapped it out. There's not a ton of decks right now where it's like, oh, I want to have 2 sideboard cards for that, and 2 for this, and 2 for this, and you got like 10 different decks that you're considering. I've really just built this with 3 decks in mind. Those top 3 decks that I've mentioned of Red, Affinity, and Terror. So let's start with the easiest matchup to sideboard for, Blue-Black Terror. You don't. I am running no sideboard cards specifically for Blue-Black Terror. Likely to bring in Flame Breather and Underworld Ragehound to increase our threat density and board out some number of Epicures and Rebirths as they bring in sweepers. But I am registering no cards in particular for the Blue-Black Terror matchup because I have found it to be simply unwinnable. I've tried Unholy Heat, Pyroblast, and Red Elemental Blast, Relic of Progenitus to try to tax their graveyard early on, and none of it has felt really effective at dealing with their threats. And it's gotten worse over time. When I first started playing this deck, they were on like 0 main deck copies of Unexpected Fangs, and it was still a pretty tough matchup because of how good things get for them post-board. Nowadays, they're frequently registering 2 to 3 copies of Unexpected Fangs in the main deck, and that just has totally derailed it, where I just don't even want to devote space to it. You can certainly win games, you can punk them out, but it's not nothing I have found has been consistent enough to be worth having the sideboard slots for. Certainly can change in the future if somebody comes up with a great plan, great sideboard for it. I would love to see that. So for the Affinity matchup, I'm also going to bring in these 4 cards. This Drawsforge Bridge and the 4 Smash to Smithereens. So that is because the cards that I want to get away from in the main deck are the 4 Epicure, the 3 Rebirths, and the 2 Chromatic Stars. So this is just siding out of these X1 package versus Krark-Clan Shaman, because you can try to balance the game versus Affinity, where making Krark-Clan Shaman worse and having more of these bigger creatures that are coming into play, you are leading your opponent to want to stabilize the board with Frogmites and Mirror Enforcers rather than Krark-Clan Shaman. And that is like the one space where Smash to Smithereens is good, because this is the best hate card for Affinity for a mono red strategy. And it's still very bad because of all the sacrifice effects that they play. If they have Shaman in play, Gorilla Shaman, or if they have Krark-Clan Shaman or Gorilla Shaman of their own, because people board in Gorilla Shaman versus you when you play this deck. They shouldn't. Please don't do that. It's just not going to be good enough. It's going to be a chump blocker. But so if they have those 2 creatures or Makeshift Munitions, any of their sacrifice effects, they get to interrupt Smash to Smithereens. But so the situation that you're really trying to build towards with Smash to Smithereens is destroying a creature in play and clearing a blocker and being able to get through that way, while also threatening to deal 3 damage. And force them to have that. So you're taxing their mana by making them hold up those spells, and then trying to use it on a creature so that you can push damage off of it, even if the 3 damage you get from it doesn't resolve. So boarding out of these X1s versus Krark-Clan Shaman helps those kind of games come up more often. And also the extra land here I find to be very helpful as we increase the size of our curve. And Flame Breather is just another way to increase threat density without these X1s, as well as being able to win outside of, or helping us win outside of combat with the burn plan, which is going to be harder to do in combat versus Mirror Enforcers and Cart Clan Shamans. And I mentioned it before, but Rage Hound, if you take nothing away from this video, if you take nothing away from me talking about this deck tech and saying, you say, Water, you're playing 3 Rebirth instead of 4, that's nuts, you're an idiot, that's fine. I can live with being wrong. I think this is a good way to build the deck, but I can live with that. But please, if you are playing mono red, put Rage Hound in your sideboard. This card is nuts. I have won so many sideboard games that I shouldn't have with this because of how it performs in the mirror and affinity versus affinity. Affinity, it is inefficient on the front half, where the 3/1 is just kind of okay and is somewhat easy for them to answer, but coming back as a 4/2 that can just attack relentlessly into Mirror Enforcer is such a big game for giving you some inevitability back in a matchup where you really don't have much. So it does have very diminishing returns, so I think 2 copies is kind of the appropriate place to have it, but it's so important for keeping pressure applied into the late game. And the sideboard land that I've chosen has just been another bridge because specifically for the matchup with Affinity, being able to have Galvanic Blast easier in sideboard games as well as helping with the slightly larger curve is pretty effective. And the next matchup to talk about is the Mirror, which is pretty close to the same as Affinity, except now we're boarding out 11 cards, and grabbing this pile here with End the Festivities for opposing Epicures and Rebirths. And the benefit here is that when we board out of these X1s, we get to blank our opposing End the Festivities. Also board out 2 Firebolt, but this can the Firebolts can kind of depend too. Like if you want to take out Galvanic Blast, that's also acceptable, or even like trim a Chain Lightning, but that's a little sketchy. But these are going to be the main 11 cards I'm looking to board out. So End the Festivities for opposing Epicures and Rebirths, because Rebirth is very good in the mirror, but it can just be very easily checked by End the Festivities, and that's a very strong tempo play because of the 1 damage that it brings with it. And similar to how I was talking about Underworld, Rage Hound brings some inevitability in a different way that's important for the burn matchup. It's been tremendous there because especially with the inclusion of Forge Chanter over time, Rage Hound has been very strong as far as blocking Forge Chanter, forcing your opponent to have more spells to interact and get through it, and then attacking it for pretty significant chunks of damage. Luxa River Shrine is a very slow card, but it also offers a different kind of inevitability, and in the mono red mirror, you're really not looking to go as fast as possible. You are looking to grind your opponent out of resources. This is a mid-range deck in a lot of matchups. You don't always have to be the aggressor, and the mirror is one where you are really trying to grind them out of resources. And Luxa River Shrine is excellent where you get to these late game scenarios, and once you gain 4 life with it, it's worth a card, and then from there it's easy to put the game out of reach and just be able to draw towards more of your card advantage and leverage the Festivities that you've made dead from your opponent, and get access to all of your spells and just drag the game out. Even just an extra turn or 2 can make a big difference. Other than that, I don't really have specific sideboard plans for every deck that's out there, but those are the 3 big ones that I have tried to hit. The cards that we have here are applicable in different matchups, and the Festivities is going to be good versus blue-white gates, the Nutso Elves players that are still out there, which they still are, bless their heart. Luxa River Shrine will be fine versus the Madness burn decks, and Rage Hound is just going to be good versus interactive decks, and same with Flame Breather, where we want to go up on threats or maybe down on our go wide plan. So that I think pretty well sums up how I feel about the deck. Been having a ton of fun. I hope to keep on doing that. So let's get into the league. Okay, here we are, match number 1 on the play. Getting back in the swing of things. This is exciting. I am pumped. And this is an awkward hand, but I think one that we are certainly inclined to keep. We do get to turn on the Scalp Blast relatively efficiently. Can just point everything upstairs and not need to do a whole lot else here. Looks like the Mirror, but could be Madness as well. Madness is a very difficult matchup. Second Gale Blast is really quite splendid here. So we can kill them rather quickly. If they have like a Swift Spear or Forge Chanter, things get a little bit more concerning. Oh, that's so good for us. Yeah, we're just blasting upstairs. Also a great draw. So here let's pop 1 implement. But this is sort of what I allude to in the deck tech, where when you're not rebirthing to draw a card immediately, it's a difficult spot. So if I play Swift Spear and I Galvanic Blast upstairs, I still have the option to just dump all of my hand next turn. And if they block everything in front of the Swift Spear, I could just bolt a token and exchange resources, or I don't even have to do that. I could just send the Galv Blast upstairs, eat 2 tokens. They've got 2 1/1s in play versus a hand that's like pretty effective at. Yeah, I think we're good to attack with Swift Spear here. And they may also just feel that they can't block this. Okay, happy to blast upstairs here. This is just going to reduce a lot of the pressure that they're able to apply to us. I think this is okay. It's unlikely that their hand is Swift Spear, because I feel like they would have played Swift Spear rather than Rebirth on that previous turn. And Swift Spear would be like the most dangerous thing to killing us. Here we do sack our implement. Synth is a nice draw. Have to do our impulse now. And we have them dead next turn. So they need to deal 12 damage to us with 2 lands, and it can't be Fire Blast because of this Great Furnace. So I'm feeling pretty confident about this game. Not a tremendous amount to say here. Like, we are playing a mid-range deck that's disguised as mono red. It's important, I think, to understand that. And I think, no offense to our opponent, 1 land keeps can be a lot of traps where they're not effective enough at doing what you need to do. I'm going to play the Epicure here first. I think it's just entirely free to do. Plays around them interacting with Metalcraft in some way, which would be maniacal, but such cards do exist. But very straightforward. So now we get to execute our sideboard plan. We have 11 cards to bring in. And we've got our rebirths. I do like kind of hate that this deck has so many 1-drops that you just have to get the scroll bar for it. I suppose I could like sort by a different measure, but that's not as fun. I do like Firebolt has its moments in the mirror where it can be really good, particularly if they're on Blast Runner, as opposed to Forge Chanter or Flame Breather. Firebolt's a really nice card to have. Do I want that more than Implement or Galvanic Blast? Let's go down the Galvanic Blast here. Just we're boarding out the stars, although we do have like we're just boarding out some number of artifacts, and that seems probably more appropriate. Yeah. Well, we do get 3 more artifacts into the deck post board, but still going down to 3 in total. But then the rebirth means boarding out a rebirth means we get to have more artifacts in play. It's complicated. If we see like more Flame Breathers and Forge Chanters post board, then like maybe I'll make that swap again. I could also make up some very brainy sounding comment about play versus draw changes how I sideboard, and it'd just be nonsense, but you can pretend I did that. This hand looks pretty good. We are missing like a point of interaction. I would really like to see a removal spell, but versus opponent mulliganing to 6, we just got a lot of card advantage. Good way to play to the board with Forge Chanter. I don't feel comfortable mulliganing this, but like turn 1 Swiftspear is going to be rough here. The absence of that is quite delightful. So here's like an interesting spot where I can play like an Implement turn 1, but I think we're just going to put our tap land into play and not overthink it. Okay. Oh, so no rebirth. Okay. No rebirth is really good news for us, because that means their hand is pretty slow here. And if it's slow now, I'd like to force them to interact with the Forge Chanter this turn so that we can buy some time. Hitting a bolt here is great. This is like the kind of spot where a Chain Lightning gets its best usage. So that's nice to know that we get to hold them off on that for a little bit. Our next turn's going to be interesting. Okay, so this is great. We're seeing like the benefit of not being an end of, or not having our X1s in the deck. I think I'm actually, because their next turn is like so scripted to cast this Impulse, I think I'm just going to tap out for the River Shrine, because we got this land drop lined up for next turn, and we can just start chugging away, getting some bricks. Like if they feel compelled to like cast a Smash for Smithereens from hand here, that would be pretty great for us. But if they're just like casting this End Festivities to deal 1 damage to us, our Brick House is going to overtake that. Cool. That's pretty great. I think I'm just going to get double Implement in play. And well, no, let's sacrifice this one, because we might draw something that changes our decision. We do not, but now we'll play this other Implement here. I kind of just wanted to get through these random draws so that I can get to the part where I'm casting my impulse effects with the most lands in play for the most flexibility, because we do have like more 2-drops in the deck, so I don't want to be just like impulsing and not being able to get maximum value when we're playing such an effective slow game at this particular moment. Okay, this is great for us. We can get something going here. Firebolt's perfect. Because I was gonna say, like, the instant that works the worst for us here is if they have their own lava dart. Because right now we're just gonna start off with chain lightning, and if they have just one instant, we can use end the festivities. But I do want to save this for some rebirth. But firebolt is going to be the perfect thing to counter something here. Although we do have to pay the ward, it's not great. So just opponent playing well lets that ability resolve, so that I have to pay the life. Okay, Galvanic Blast, no flame, no Metalcraft, not Flamecraft. A lot of red words that we have to think about. So we are taking some damage here, but that's okay. This is why we have the house. And I will opt to try and hit a land drop here. No such luck. I do think I want to prioritize getting my River Shrine closer to the free mode, because our hand is a little expensive. I'm not terribly worried about a Swift Spear from them this turn. Like, obviously they can always draw one, but it's not like they just have it sitting around. Okay, that's not great. Blast is a really good draw here. Okay, so what's my turn looking like? So I think I start with Synthesizer and then see if I play Swift Spear. I don't think I really want to go Swift into Synthesizer. I mean, I guess I could. It's just tough if I hit a 2-drop off of Synthesizer, things get awkward. So is that 1 point of damage really relevant? I don't feel like it is. So I think I just want to start with Synthesizer. Like, I'm likely going to play the Swift Spear here to follow up, but... Ooh. Juicy. Yep, so now I'm going to Swift. Blast away. You can always yield safely. Like, it doesn't come up as much in mirrors, but oh, okay. If they had a lava dart, I was going to be a little worried here. Okay, so we're at 11. Opponent's going to have 5 cards in their hand. Or like, so they draw 4 and they have the Synthesizer. So we can definitely die here. But if we can escape like one more turn. Okay, that's the card that kills me. These are cards that kill me. This is scary. Concerning. I wonder, this is a really interesting spot from their position, because are you going to try to dart my Swift Spear or try to kill me? This mirror is so fun. I love this mirror match. This has been a great game. Okay, so they're going to try to kill my Swift Spear. I think this is favorable for us. A firebolt from hand? Okay. I think we just fire that off. Sick. Now we impulse. Suppose I could have sequenced that differently, but I guess just, yeah, not really as worried about damage when it comes to seeing how that firebolt goes on the stack there and what other options they may have with it. But these firebolts are going to be really good versus these tokens, helping mitigate our opponent's Mole Drifters. Yep, like, this is huge for us. Like, our firebolts are trading with resources for them. They're 2-for-1ing with these lava darts. We are just built for the mirror. We're just going to keep interacting. We've got like enough things going on with our mana that maybe saving Implement for a trigger is useful in the future. I know we could synth into something, but I just kind of like using the... So, you know, I have hyped up Firebolt quite a bit, but it is... The 5 mana is a lot to pay on the back half, and it's not good versus things like Swift Spear. Okay. I guess. Our inevitability is less good now, but that's still... What? Okay. Yeah, this Smash is a card you can play. Here I will play the Implement so we can start making our way back to some card advantage. So we've seen 1 Synthesizer, 1 Impulse. We've got some good things to come, hopefully. Sure. I think I'll just synth this turn. Dirtling. Love a good dirtle. So our synths did hit a little bit more favorably than our opponents. Okay, this is pretty nice. Could bolt to try and stop this. Yeah, that seems good. Yeah, their life total is surprisingly low. Maybe there's a lava dart I missed in the graveyard. Okay, no, cool. Yeah. Alexa River Shrine, winning games of Magic. that shouldn't be one. This is a very bad card, but it's so much fun in these mirrors. It allows for a lot of this, like, you know, this game might not look like it right now, but that first one gained us, I think, like, we activated it twice with 3 counters on it, so that was 7. And if we're at 2 here in this lightning bolt, that looks a lot different. So even though it's a weird looking card, I think it does have its merits, and got to execute some good sideboard plans here, which I'm pleased with. So cool. See you for round 2. Welcome to round number 2 versus Chozani HG. I do not know. Mulligan. But I'm a sucker for these kind of hands. And So remember that part where I said, like, one land keeps are kind of traps, and my opponent mulliganed to 6 in match 1, game 1, and I criticized that. And here I am probably going to have to do the same thing, because this hand is, like, pretty reasonable. I think I'm going to keep and put back... I'm thinking... It's not the Mountain, it's not Swift Spear, and it's not the first Reckless Impulse, and it's not the first Implement of Combustion. So it's second Impulse, second Combustion, or the Forge Chanter that I'm thinking about here. And I think the Forge Chanter's pretty good if we just naturally hit our second land drop. So that's probably not good, because then that lets us, like, apply a lot of pressure. So now I'm down to the second Implement or second Impulse. The Implement is kind of tempting because it can get us closer to a land, but it's a little bit slow and unlikely. So if we're just, hoping to rip a land, then the second Impulse is probably more effective. But if we, like, cycle the first Implement and then draw into Kuldotha, having this, I'm kind of on the second Impulse. I think that's a little... I think we'll be able to find things to do. Sorry, opponent, I spent 2 minutes on my mulligan decision. I thought that was, like, pretty interesting. Oop. Hi, Moto. Hello? Hello. Okay, Galvanic Blast, Mountain, suggest once again a mirror. We hit the land into Forge Chanter, so I'm liking our spot. Do want to be a little bit more cognizant that impulsing into cards like Lightning Bolt when they have no threats in play can be a touch awkward, so it's going to influence how we sequence here. But if they play, like... Okay, this is interesting now. Probably just impulsing. If we hit 2/2 drops, it's kind of disastrous. But, like, hitting a land is really nice. I think we go for it. And... yeah, I'll yield to the turn. A decent chance I just Galvanic Blast the Epicure here. Yep, now that we get to combat, I am definitely doing that. Hello? Moto, what's going on? You're struggling. Rebirth here is pretty bad for us. Not really in a good spot to contest this. So Forge Chanter is a really good draw for us. think just play that. Unfortunately, I think our hand is like choked enough on mana that we do want to cast this implement, which is just bad for like making us tap out and not be able to protect this with prowess triggers at all. Definitely blocking. I'm sure they have interaction, but like the interaction that they have is going to meet the face or the creature. If it goes to the creature, they take some damage as well, and so this is just fine. Synthesize is really good here. Okay. Definitely playing Epicure, and I think I'm playing the implement. Whoa. Okay. Now they're tapped out of Chain Lightning flashback. How worried am I? I'm like a little worried. The thing is, like, they're in top deck mode right now, so I'm like, this Chain Lightning is not gonna have text for a long time. I'm gonna fire it off. I could see that being wrong, but right now they're in top deck mode. I've got cards in hand that like lead to a better long game. Like, I'm gonna be slamming my... Oh god. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, I'm very smart, actually. Let's play implement, cycle it, see if we hit something that matters. It does, like, it's kind of lousy now that we're not getting this... okay, I'll do this. Yes, we get to kill this. I'm going to firebolt the token, and then next turn we get to synth. I think we're in okay shape. I don't hate our spot. I think we're doing okay. So again, this is like, I mean, maybe not the best example because Lava Dart would have been much better there, but like this is the flexibility of Firebolt in action. Love these mountains, by the way, for my opponent. Fun from Streets of New Capenna. Ah, there it is. Potentially we get no value here, but potentially we do get value. I don't know if it matters which of those I kill. I'm going to assume it doesn't. Sweet. Okay. Impulse, another great draw here. Okay. So we bolt them down to 6. No, please don't do this to me now. Is Fire Blast your last card? I hope Fire Blast is not your last card. It totally is. Oh no. That's so brutal. That's so brutal. Alright. Well, if anything, I was like pretty aggressive about destroying the creatures in play, so I don't feel horrible about how I sequence this. I mean, I got pretty lucky to kill the Flame Breather the turn it came down. All right. Well, same sideboard plan as before. Oop, come on. There we go. Oop. But we did see Kessig Flame Breather, so maybe I want Galvanic Blast over Firebolt. No, I think I want the Firebolts. I could be convinced I'm wrong on that. Okay. Sounds kind of awkward. Important, game 1 doesn't really matter, but game 2 you do really want to lead on your basics and not your artifact lands. Part of why this hand is awkward. Rage Hound is a great draw. Something to tap out for here. Starts to force action a little bit. Okay, it's Bolt at least. If that was Lava Dart, I'd feel like a little worse about myself. So obviously, really want to Chain Lightning the Swift Spear. It's just what is the best other way to use my turn? Do I want to Impulse first? Maybe hit like a Firebolt or land drops from that. But if I hit like 2 4-drops or 2 2-drops that I need to spend 4 mana on, it's a bit more awkward. And they get to go into my next turn like knowing how to play. I do think I want to Impulse though. Synthesizer is an okay draw here, not super exciting, just a mulligan that cost me a mana. Interesting, so they're playing Star, Fire Blast, Lava Dart, and Flame Breather? I don't entirely know what of the construction of their deck. So I do want to bolt this. The question is, am I the right person for the job? Can I pull the trigger on this Chain Lightning to kill this Epicure? And I think for 1 point of damage, I'm going to wait a turn. Might come back to cost me here, but like the fact that they played the Star there does kind of make me think of Kaldatha's something they were interested in this turn, but not last turn with the Swift Spear. Guess I'm just wrong. Okay. What's my plan? What are we doing here? I think I'm going to end the festivities and play Luxa River Shrine. I just don't think they have Rebirth in hand, and I want to fire that off now. And I think if their next turn is playing something, we can start to, or like if their next turn is Rebirth, then we could like Chain Lightning a token, get experimental synth, or get synth value with the 2/2. We still have a Rage Hound to flashback. I just think there's some time to figure out what we want. And yeah, this is my concern. Oh crap! I should have gained my life. So if they have 2 more Galv Blasts, we're in trouble. Okay, now I don't need to gain the life immediately. Oh, am I kidding? Yes, I do. They could have Galv Blast. Oh, this is... I've not sequenced my turn well. With my activation of Lux River Shrine, am I going to die? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. They're going to kill me right now because I didn't tap it when they were tapped out. And I'm going to lose. Maybe. I may also not. Okay, I'm alive. I think I'm just gonna synth here. This is okay. But I'm gonna gain my life now. So now if they have like a Swift Spear, they can kill. Again, interesting spot from them. Are they going to try to bolt my Flame Breather? Or do they see the kill? It's likely they see the kill. Yeah. Alright. This was a tough match to lose. I don't feel horrible about how we played. But yeah. These Galv Blasts being turned on for so few resources for them is just really backbreaking. Yeah, and we can't even punish them for the double festivities. Yeah. That feels pretty rough to lose. Because we got to do kind of the sideboard things that I wanted to execute, and it wasn't even remotely close to good enough. Food for thought there, but we are 1-1 on to round 3. Okay, round number 3 versus Embrobro. This hand is quite good. Quite good. I'd like to keep it. Okay, Affinity. This hand's not great versus Affinity. We are lacking a prowess creature, which is really how you want to start off punishing them, but these Epicures are also adequate where we're going to get in some chip damage here. Hopefully set things up to burn them out. They're starting to build up a reasonable package of burn spells here. Firebolting a Frogmite here would be pretty good tempo. Okay, just 1 Frogmite, please. Thank you. Thank you for being acquiescent. I'm still just going to Firebolt this and Rebirth my blood token. Because our hand doesn't need a ton of fixing, and this is going to apply the most pressure. It's also kind of useful in these spots to think of Epicure as a haste creature, where it's just getting in 1 point of damage every turn. And it's not like a huge difference of getting it into play on those spots. Karkland Shaman would be rough here. Looks like they're just setting up a Mirror Enforcer. So I'm obviously attacking with everything. Question's going to be, am I Chain Lightning this Mirror Enforcer? Answer is probably. They don't have like a way to sack it right now. They also don't have the blue for Metallic Rebuke. I am going to float through this star though, try to hit more lands. Wait a second. Okay. Alright, I see you, Magic Online. See, the 1 damage isn't marked when it's zoomed out like that. I was terrified for a second. I was like, what happened? But it has the 1 damage on it. This should kill it, right? Like, this is... Okay, cool. I got nervous. I was worried about that. I guess we do kind of set them up to do this pretty easily. Maybe that wasn't as good as I thought it was. Spear's interesting. I think I'm just going to implement in Rebirth. Play the Epicure here. Hopefully next turn we can attack for some pretty big damage. This is an interesting spot. Their mana situation is not great. I guess Deadly Dispute kind of fixes that. But Double Great Furnace is a little bit awkward when they are... Affinity at this point is largely a base blue-black deck. And we haven't, like, the red spells that they're interested in casting are not good in this board. So Chain Lightning again is interesting, but I'm probably going to try to learn from my mistake and not use it on the Mirror Enforcer. I think taking 5 damage off of him right now is good. It's possible we blew away this Swiftspear token, or Swiftspear with the blood token. But this attack for 5 damage is just good. I will attempt to Chain Lightning here. If they rebuke it, that's okay. It's not great, but like Rebuke's just going to be good versus my draw no matter what. If they redirect it back, incredible luck for us. I am going to main phase implement here, because we hit a land, like flashing back Firebolt on a follow-up turn is going to be of interest to us. Okay, the Mirror Enforcer is no longer in play, which is nice. Interesting, so this scripts their turn pretty heavily to like activate Bloodfountain, get it back. I can attack for 3 with my board. Oh, they discard with the blood token first. Interesting. Because I kind of suggest that they have no creatures in hand. Because if you had a creature in hand, you just like discard it and then get it back with Bloodfound. The kind of intended use for limited even. Maybe they have a Cart Clan Shaman though. They're trying to set up something different. That still doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't know. They got 7 cards in hand. A lot of things could be happening. And I'm trying to sound smart, and my turn is probably just going to be attack with everything. Well, I think I'm going to loot with Blood Token. So we draw, like, Galvanic Blast is the reason to hold on to it, but like just hitting this Frogmite is like pretty big damage here. They can have Metallic Rebuke, but I think this is still okay. Okay, we're attacking for... So there was no Reckoner's Bargain. They're just taking 7, going to 5. This is pretty good for us. Like, obviously they get to buy things back, so they have basically guaranteed to have 2 blockers here, but we can get through that. 3 or 4 blockers is a more difficult question. Okay, so they're at 5. So I think I need to pre-combat this chain lightning so that I force them to... Their Mirror Enforcer won't trade in combat, so that they have to sacrifice the Mirror Enforcer, or the Frogmite could be that way. They have to do that before damage goes on the stack, so that's going to preserve a blocker. They have the ability to redirect, but if they redirect, they can't cast that Reckoner's Bargain that saves them, so that's not something I need to worry about. By the way, if let's show this league so far, how scarred I am from that last league I posted with Mono Red, where I messed up that turn with Thermo Alchemist and Chain Lightning. It's seared into my brain now. Everybody's got to have that one where, like, it's just... I have to overthink Chain Lightning lines now. If I don't, the universe falls apart or something. So, yeah, I'm saying I'm thinking through all of these things, but it just kind of leads to, like, okay, like, the Smork option is right here. I'm just going to cast Swift Spear. I'm going to put Chain Lightning upstairs. Opponent's going to have whatever they're going to have, and we're just here now. If they redirect, they're basically dead. It's got to be something else. And let them figure out what their fate is. If they go to 9, they're going to take 5, go down to 4. It's okay for us. Jump with Frogmite's nice. Used 2 Blood Fountains, presumably 1 to 2 Clark Clam and Shamans left in the deck, and 1 Blood Fountain. 3 is pretty normal for that. So that's a nice game 1 to win. I got slowed down by a lot of air. So here we're going to abandon the plan that won us that game of Kuldotha Rebirth, but trust me when I say, like, this is also, like, kind of the not mind game, but, like, a somewhat reactionary, like, plan that you frequently can see Magic players fall into, where it's like, oh, I lost to the tokens, gotta overboard on sweepers, and we get to punish them by just not being as weak to sweepers. Didn't really see anything unique about their build that makes me want to board differently, so I'm going to comfortably run it back. Stick with the plan. This is a 1-lander that's pretty expensive, not good at turning on the things it needs to. I will mulligan. This is a land-heavy draw, but this has got to be good enough. Smash can be really detrimental to certain draws. Forge Chant are just going to already require a certain check, so I feel pretty good about this. I don't think you can mulligan this. Alright, go like Vault of Whispers, Ichor Wellspring. That would be great. I'd love to see that. See, you didn't do that. So Blue Blast is a little rough here, but our deck is weak to Blue Blast. We got to play into it. And if they have, like, Galvanic Blast, then things get a bit more nice for us. Okay. I think I'm gonna... no, let's see what we draw. Interesting. Well, I think we're just gonna do what we're supposed to. Here, exchange resources. I think it's, like, you have to Firebolt the Frogmite, because it's, like... it's going to deal us damage and then gain them 4 with Reckoner's Bargain at some point. You just really want to keep those creatures off the board when possible. And that's what we're going to try and do there. Flashback on the Firebolt. I may do that on my turn just to get it out of my graveyard and dealing damage to him. So we don't have any Epicure's Postboard with this configuration, so we're just going to play our lands out. That's alright. But I did want to play that one Great Furnace so that the Galvanic Blast has the chance to be live as soon as possible. If they were a mad person and brought in Gorilla Shaman, like, it can be awkward, but that's fine. Cart Clan Shaman, we have effectively blanked with our board configuration. And what does Metallic Rebuke do? Is it 3 or 4 that I have to pay? I'm pretty sure it's 4. Three. Okay, it is 3. I am wrong, which means that I can play the land here and sequence around it. They also are not representing that, which is just really great gameplay. Good job, Will. We're doing great. We're going to hit another land off this. I mean, we're also, like, have enough lands that, like, you know, missing a land drop here doesn't super matter, but it's... I like to play tight. I like to play tight, and I'm not doing that. It's going to keep casting. Okay, cool. It doesn't look like we're going to get horribly punished for that slight missequence. Opponent's hand looking a little awkward over there, it seems, but we have also gone to some effort to make that awkward for them. Great dispute by them. Love it. I mean, not good for us that they're recognizing that KCS doesn't have a tremendous amount of value on this board, but such is life. So this is the Mirror Enforcer turn. How many? 1? Okay, all right, we can handle 1. Let's just start with our synth. Go Impulse next. This is the one that has to be played this turn. Yeah. I do just want to Gal Blast this Mirror Enforcer. We haven't seen a Reckoner's Bargain yet. It's just likely that they're going to have a way to interact with this, and it's going to be, yeah, this is fine. Potentially should have upkeeped it to block Frogmite, but I don't feel like that's super relevant. I do understand that they can buy back with Blood Fountain this turn, but that's their whole turn, and hopefully we can try to tempo them from there by, you know, Gal Blasting it again or something. Or no, I don't. No, that's probably not what we're gonna do. Wait, no, they had 2 more Mirror Enforcers. Oh, come on. And just drew 2 Enforcers off that bargain. All right. Okay. Not sequencing my lands particularly well here, but I don't think it matters. What are we doing with these Firebolts? Are these going upstairs? Are we... What are we doing? We got 10 points of burn here. I think we're still in this stage where we need to be controlling. Like, I don't think we can just say that we're going to stabilize the board here against 4 Mirror Enforcers, because they're going to have 2 with this Blood Fountain. So kind of the best way forward would be to try to think of how to get them to crack Blood Fountain to not have to deal with this. Okay, that worked. I think I just do this. I think if this was my play, I actually should have bolted the Frogmite on my turn. That was a misstep. Especially as I see this unspent mana. Being at 16, that's a pretty relevant life total here. That's not good. Not good at all. Fascinating. Okay. Well, I'm going to do that. I'd love to hit Smash to Smithereens. Cool. You can't have anything, it's illegal. Alright, better late than never. Alright, we might be stabilizing. So we're going to be at 12. They have 2 Galv Blasts in the deck. Okay. I think I'm just going to keep it simple and use my graveyard resources. Not that I'm expecting them to do anything, but just like, you know, impulse draws are not going to be this flexible, and we just have like ways to use this. Also, look at that, using all my mana on turn 9. Haven't missed a land drop yet. I'm just gaming out here, taking game actions, trying to disguise my fear with confidence. I would love to block. Nothing would bring me greater joy. Unexpected Fangs is cheating. I would ask that you don't do that again. Alright, now we kind of need to synth into something. Oh, is this a blue blast? Okay, so are we just going to chump with a Samurai token to avoid going to 7? They've only got 1 Galvanic Blast left in the deck. I think I just have to pretend Makeshift Munitions isn't in their hand. My sequencing is just all over the place here. But I'm comfortable with all of these decisions right now. And I'm gonna hold this implement for the following turn, because it would only matter about like getting into a 1-drop here. They hydroblast my Forge Chanter. I think I still wait. I'm a little worried because it makes it seem like this double block is not going to be good if they were willing to spend it on that. But like, I'm going to do it because this is like, I'm exchanging the Underworld Ragehound with resources here that matter regardless, and I think that's good for me. Like, we can deal damage later. Yeah, like this is okay ish. You wouldn't. Oh my god. That's the third one, right? No, that was the other game. Oh, this is so brutal here. Do they have 7 artifacts? Exactly 7? Oh my. That's disgusting. Disgusting. Alright, I really need to hit some Smash to Smithereens here. Galvanic Blast would also be nice. Synth is an insane draw here, by the way. Okay. So I don't do anything else because I can Bolt plus Firebolt from the graveyard, kill the big one, play the Ragehound. And I do have to do this all now. I can't try to do this on their turn to get cheeky value. So I am going to need to chump on their turn. Underworld Ragehound, by the way. Underworld Ragehound, bringing you my only chance at this game. Oh boy. Be kind. We're doing stuff. Huh. That sure makes my brain hurt. Sure makes my brain hurt. I love how hard this deck is, by the way. This is so sick. Like, it's just... Mono Red has never been able to do stuff like this before, and it's just really fun to try to do this all adequately. So Underworld Ragehound does have to attack. This is where we do have to reconcile its badness. So like a pretty safe attack here is Ragehound and 1 Samurai token, so that way if they block, I get to eat or trade with the Mirror Enforcer. I do recognize that they can redirect on board, but then I get to redirect again. I think that's probably just what the play is. I think it's too risky if I try to attack with much else. Yeah, so let's just stick with that. And if they don't block, then we just hold on to our Chain Lightning. I think this is likely as good a spot as Chain Lightning is going to find from here, where we're really not pushing life total damage with it. Putting us dead to like a Galvanic Blast is scary for sure, if they want to redirect it. They are choosing to redirect it. They're killing a Samurai token. Okay. I'm pretty okay with this. Like, I am gonna block with my Swift Spear, but I don't think this is a terrible spot for us to be in. Implement of Combustion being a pretty insane draw. Do you have more goodies for us in the box? No. I think one attack here is good. We do have to try to close this game. The removal spells that they're having would be like 3rd Hydroblast. If they use like the 4th Galvanic Blast to destroy my blocker, I think that's a situation we're okay with. And I do have to push this damage so that at some point they have to consider blocking with Mirror Enforcer. Maybe that last turn I was supposed to attack with Swift Spear? I don't know. Looks like they drew Blood Fountain, which is pretty rough for us here. We can beat it. It's not likely. It is not likely at all. But we can do it. Wait, Lightning Bolt? What? I've never. I have never seen. Okay, I have put Lightning Bolt in Affinity. I'll say that, but I have never seen anybody else put Lightning Bolt in Affinity. That's wild. That's, I guess, good information to know, and apparently something I was playing around this whole time without even realizing it. By being at 7 life and doing a lot of chump blocking. That's crazy. Okay, that was a really exciting game too. That was really great. Can't be upset about losing that. I drew so many cards. That was a little bit of flood towards the end, but this is 13. 13 of my 18 lands in the top half of the deck. Or top 2/3 of the deck. That's like pretty close to average. Like remarkably close to average. Still saw the Cart Clan Shaman, so I don't want to play into this necessarily, and they don't necessarily know that I'm off of it. So I feel good about how I boarded. Let's see how we can do. This hand's rad. So with only like 2 Great Furnaces in the deck, they're not excellent at providing turn 1 interaction. Fortunately, that Seat of the Synod is pretty good at casting Hydroblast. So I'm just going to cast my Impulse here. This is the thing that they'd most want to blast as well, so now they have this choice. Giving your opponent choices isn't great, but I think this is like a pretty reasonable spot to put the squeeze on them. Okay. And now I'm going to get punished by revealing 2 2-drops. Nope. Okay. Good draws. Good draws is coming together very nicely. If they have another Blue Blast, it's awkward here. That's kind of the thing we're most worried about. I might be willing to aggressively go into a Mirror Enforcer if they tap out for it. Oh, that's... Oh, second Forward Chanter, it's so juicy. It's so juicy. Let's see what happens when I cast 1 Chain Lightning. Because I'm pretty sure I'm like doing 1 here. And I'm going to attack for my 2. Ask him, do you want to Hydroblast this? Okay, they do not feel so inclined, so maybe it's a Metallic Rebuke that they're representing. If it's Cart Clan Shaman and they have to lose 3 artifacts, I think that's like pretty solid tempo for us on this board. And if it's just playing some... Okay, that's fine. Just get this Chain Lightning in while the getting's good. Okay, Reckoner's Bargain on Wellspring is a rather fortunate use for us. So this is like precisely the kind of board where Smash to Smithereens can thrive. Where like now they really want to tap out for Mirror Enforcer, and we've made that a dangerous thing for them to do. I think that's important when looking at these sideboard cards, because Smash is not always good versus this deck. Whoa, okay. Whoa. Interesting. So they probably can surmise that I'm F6'd. I haven't shown mutagenic growth or any other kind of tomfoolery, so they're just got to put 3 lands into the abyss here. I may aggressively... Oh, they can Frogmite here. Choose not to. I kind of want to just throw my Synth away and get a 2/2 in play. They didn't have a Frogmite to cast there, so I think there's like a good chance I can get one. I don't see it. You don't see it. Nobody sees the card. I don't know what card anybody's. We're doing this. We're trying. Just got it. You hate to see that. Okay. Oh, it's slipping away from me. I feel it. I'm not feeling good about this game anymore. You can ritual out an Enforcer with some Blood Fountains here. Gurmag Angler with Unexpected Fangs here is like the absolute nightmare. Okay, Reckoner's Bargain for 1 is on the upper end of things I could ever reasonably wish for. That's not even a reasonable wish. There's no way I could actually ask for that. That's unreal lucky for us. Once again, the lack of Frog might suggest that I kind of want to deploy a 2/2. Okay, the Bolt is nice here. We get to apply some good pressure next turn. Try to sequence around them drawing spells to make this the most difficult for them. Hey, we got there. That was a sick match. That was sick. Oh, yeah. I mean, we didn't win like the game 2 where I tried to build this grindy control deck to beat Affinity. I didn't actually succeed in that board plan, but this was, you know, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm pleased with how that turned out. Obviously, you know, drew reasonably well in some respects, but that was awesome. That was really cool. I'm excited. So glad to be able to share all this. This format's awesome. These games are just great. And we'll see you for round number 3. Okay, round number 3 versus Stompy MTG. He has a great YouTube channel and Twitter account that I would highly recommend following. if I recall correctly, has recently been playing a lot of this deck as well. So might be in for another mirror, and I think this hand is pretty great. We're not really like exceedingly well strong on any axis, but just a lot of reasonable cards. Hopefully you can hit some land drops, get the ball rolling with this Reckless Impulse, and see where we go. I know it's kind of weird to like want to play the third mirror in a league, but that last loss has me chomping at the bit. I want redemption, which perhaps at this point on the channel you may have noticed that I'm glutton for punishment in that way. I am very stubborn when it comes to these kind of things. Part of why I've been playing this red deck so much is I've been unable to trophy with it through like 15 leagues. Had a couple 05s and a couple 4-1s, so it's been a real like roller coaster, but it's got the fire in me to try and trophy with it, and losses like that really motivate me to want to try and learn from them and do better. Hopefully it was hopefully that makes like for a good I was gonna say viewing experience, but like, listen, I love doing my YouTube channel, but this is not like content that's made for viewing purposes, I guess, in some sense. This is not like, MTG Goldfish with incredibly edited down videos that are really streamlined and worked out to allow for a lot of those details. This is like raw, mostly unedited Pauper gameplay of a grindy format that very few people care about. But, to be able to share some part of that process is still really cool. And hopefully it's been match the experience that you want out of consuming obscure content on YouTube like this. Because it's what I want to watch. As my voice gets a little raspy, I will also advise to drink some water. Take care of yourself. I haven't talked, or I just said good luck, have fun again. I don't know why I did that. But it's no problem. The time is fine. Okay, Cliffgate's horrifying. I think we're just firing off this impulse though. We hit Splinter Twin. That's kind of cool. But this Firebolt's going to be somewhat useful, but we're going to... Yeah, okay. Peep this turn. What a turn we're going to have here. We're going to cast magic cards. 3 of them that all cost 1 red mana. And we're going to get exceedingly medium value. So that's a good number of Galvanic Blasts, though. I'm just worried that if they're a Seeker of the Way deck, we're in trouble. P. Proteus posted a trophy with a red-white list that... what? Smash to Dust in the main deck? It's bananas. Okay, well, it's good here. I think I kind of want to get this Epicure in play. Can cast both of those next turn. It's just like, do I want to be lightning bolting this turn or not? But I think this Epicure is like high enough value to want to do this. Naming black with this second gate is interesting, so... This smells like prismatic strands, so I'm going to attack, get my 1 damage in here. Cast Synthesizer. And I guess throw this bolt upstairs into it. So now we have the question. I guess I can put this off one more turn, but the question's gonna be, does he have Seeker of the Way? Because if he does, things are bad. Don't care about that one. I let it resolve. I let it resolve. Okay. Alright. We're back to everybody's favorite game of Water's Made a Mistake. And we gotta talk ourselves through this mistake now. That's horrifying. Excellent. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, what are we doing now? What's the game plan? What's our plan here? I think I'm gonna start with attacking with Epicure. Okay, that just worked. I think I would like to Synthesizer here. Having a creature in play is like pretty useful. And I think from here I'm just going to Chain Lightning upstairs. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't think I'm allowed to fire off this Galvanic Blast right now on the Sacred Cat. I think we got to try to play to the board more and extract more value. We're not really burning them out. We need to control the board. Maybe that Chain Lightning last turn was very sloppy. I'm not... I don't know. Alright, well I got 11 points of burn in my hand, so they're functionally at 11 for the Prismatic Strands. So we just need to try and get Prismatic Strands on the stack. Discard another Squadron Hawk. So this is 3. Yeah, there's the 4 accounted for. Okay. Bunch of Screeches go into the yard. Basilisk Gate, that's great. That's great. I love to see Basilisk Gate. Yeah, 5 life. It's no problem. No problem. Okay, I didn't think that was going to happen. Maybe I should have done this differently. Hmm. Oh, I don't think attacks are profitable here. I don't think much of anything we do matters. I think we're just dead. Yeah, I just need to stop thinking and give up. This is not winnable, but fortunately, that deck is not playable in my understanding of this metagame. I do need End the Festivities. Flame Breather and Drossforge Bridger are kind of the cards I'm interested in. And I don't want Rebirths or Epicures, because they're going to come up the board with like Thraben Inspectors, and it's just very difficult to get in. Yeah. I feel pretty good about that. So let's see how it goes. But I don't feel like this matchup. These matchups are just abysmal. Always have been, always will be. We've got like kind of the way out of it, which is prowess creatures, but this is kind of like we're Forge Chanters again, pretty good versus these sorts of decks where the Blast Runner or Flame Breather are going to be a touch too slow. And that deck plays a lot of tap lands, very few mountains, but Journey to Nowhere they did show, so hopefully these creatures are going to be a little difficult for them to interact with. And the Festivities is a nice pickup. Just gonna firebolt this now. Not in horrible shape for next turn. Prismatic Strands, excellent. don't really have any way to force the action on Prismatic Strands with our mono sorcery hand. And if they've got like another basic, they can just play this pretty slow and not be too worried about it. Yeah. Synthesizer is a nice way to force the action. Yep. Do I want to just put a 2/2 into play? Not particularly, I don't think. Sure. Fortunately, their hand being this kind of suggests they have another Prismatic Strands. Yeah. Or no, oh wait, no, this is the flashback one. This is fine. Just kind of have to let this one go. If they have Battle Screech now, it's worse for us, but because now they're going to gain a ton of life from it. Oh no, I guess if they Screech, I just bolt the Veteran. Not if they have double Veteran. Yeah. I guess also it shouldn't be too bad because it's going to play in 2. And the Festivities, which is kind of the only thing we have going for us at this point in time. They just got this other Prismatic Strand, so I have to not use my End the Festivities yet. I have to keep trying to milk it, and it's not going to work. And I know it's not going to work, but I have to try. And I hate that. Because I'm just taking a really long time to lose a game that I can't possibly win. Versus cards that you can't possibly play in this metagame. Okay, so they got Lumith Redfield, so this End the Festivities doesn't even have text anymore, which is exciting. Yeah, that's good enough for me. I can't break through this. And they're going to gain like 40 life in the next 2 turns, so that's alright. Good games. See if we can scrape out a 3-2. Alright, on the play for round number 5 versus Felipe Banshee. On the play, which is good. Hand is good. I think I am not going to cast the Implement turn 1, because I'm pretty inclined to be turn 2ing this Forge Chanter. And I think just having prowess things available later. Oop, I shouldn't. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Alright, so we do have a redemption round for the mirror. Forge Chanter has its like good bad thing here of like I get to have it on the play, so or not on the play, but like trade for 2 damage. but it's not super relevant. Kind of an interesting spot. I really want to firebolt this Swift Spear, but I also want to get a synthesizer online. That's probably a little unnecessarily greedy. So let's just firebolt this, cast and implement, land and pass. This is probably far better. I'm just a little... I think this bolt is too good to just kill this Epicure right now. I think we'll take like probably 3 damage from it now, which is like a little concerning, but or 3 more damage than it's dealt. This is kind of why I wanted that synth in play, like making the 2/2 next turn is kind of. But there's, I mean, that's not true. There's no way the 2/2 survives. We're just looking very dead here. Now a lot more inclined to Lightning Bolt in Epicure, even though they've already all done quite a bit of damage. Never mind, found a better target. But that means that this Forge Chanter's dying right now. Yep. Can't even save it because it's the one spell in the deck that gets through them. But we're not out of it. I don't think I want to cycle that at just this moment. Maybe I should. It's kind of nice to have that going into next turn. I guess like Epicure is kind of the one card to hit out of that. That would be nice. Maybe now their hand is had enough time to be bad enough to like not be able to kill the Samurai token. Okay. This was not the best way to sequence their turn. So I have next turn to cast that Impulse, so I think I just have to put a 2/2 into play here and sacrifice that card on top. I just don't see how we stabilize this game. Just don't see it happening. End of my next turn, so I can hold it up here. Oh, so I feel like I have to do that. If I attack with both Swift Spears and they don't block, I'm taking 3 on the crackback. I also just like have to get lucky, right? Just like not doing it, just attacking with the samurai token here is not enough pressure. I don't know, maybe this is throwing, but I feel like I gotta try to get in there. Like, they gotta be looking on their side and saying, surely your hand isn't 3 more mountains, right? I mean, they might be saying that's the only way they can win if your hand is 3 more mountains, but yeah, not wrong. Alright, so what are we at now? Alright, we've got 6. This is 4, so it's 10 damage total. So I think we just have to kill a token instead and try to hope. We both have draws here. They've got this blood token in play though, so I think their draw's a little bit better than mine. That's nice. This is scary. I'm very scared right now. Gut shot kills me? You wouldn't gut shot me. Oh, thank God. That took a year off my life, I think. $12 lands in my top 28. That was difficult. I mean, so again, we got lucky for our opponent to be unlucky to a certain extent, but also they got punished for putting Lava Dart in their deck. And so I do want to note that, like, sacrificing the land and we played till turn 9, that stuff matters. That stuff matters. But we are live for the redemption, and I am excited to be live for the redemption. Close this out and do a 3-2. I'd be very pleased. Alright, this is nice. Good interaction. We're like missing a thread of our own, but that's just how things go. Great use for our chain lightning before things get too out of control. Okay. Well, I think I'm just gonna cast Swift Spear. Looks like they really want to have Koldatha this turn, so I just want to leave myself the best line of going Impulse into something else. But this is okay. Now we do kind of have to Reckless Impulse, try to hit. Get a little cheeky here. Triple Swift Spear is interesting here because now we get to put them on the back foot a bit more. And it's not super likely they have a third land since they were struggling to hit that second one. Okay, Bolt into Rebirth here would be pretty good for them. Implement's quite a bit more beatable. Still don't really like our spot. I guess I just don't know enough. What? Oh, I messed it up too. I should have tapped it. This. Okay, yeah. This is fine. This is very fine. If that's their only spell for the turn, we're in great shape. We are at like a much more real threat of dying on their turn. I think we start with Synthesizer. So there's a mountain in specific that has to be played this turn. Alright, so if I go Firebolt you, they go to 8 and then they take 8. I believe that's good. Hey, we got a 3-2. Woohoo! That was a tough league. That was a very tough league. Feel good about it for the most part. So going 2-1 in the mirror. The loss felt pretty rough on that, but that does certainly happen sometimes. I feel like it's not shocking. Like, okay, I put 11 cards in my sideboard plan includes bringing in 11 cards for the red mirror, and I felt good about it. It's sort of like, congratulations. Like, yeah, that's what happens when you put 11 cards in your sideboard and have like a functional deck post board. That's like, kind of hard to mess it up, but I think it's a good way to build the deck at the moment, is particularly if you see 3 red decks in a league, which is pretty cool in and of itself. The affinity matchup felt good. Definitely felt like it was well positioned post board to make things awkward for them, and that kind of the theory behind how I was playing it was good, which is nice to have reinforced. Boros, Bully, Gates. It's a rough matchup, but that deck's not really impressed me from how I've seen it perform, just in terms of its own consistency. Very poor into affinity, very poor into blue-black terror, and I think it's very good versus us. Be my assessment of it, particularly just due to the mana issues being making that deck very slow in the format. It's very fast right now and rewards efficient mana usage. But I could be wrong too. Boros has traditionally been a foil to red decks and blue-black decks, and somewhat affinity, but format's in a really interesting spot. I think the Gates decks, there's a lot that you have room to explore there as well. Really been enjoying the games. This was just a really fun league. Saw a good range of like some of the more aggressive angles of the red mirror, but also the like top deck heavy, really card advantage driven game. So it's just a fantastic mirror match. Part of why I enjoy it is because I have built my deck to, dominate it, but it's fun to be rewarded for that. So I'm not gonna fault myself too much for enjoying that process. But that is most of what I have to say here. Firebolt felt pretty good that league. We had a couple good moments with it where it was better than Lava Dart. Also moments where it was worse than Lava Dart, but moments where the flashback mattered too. So that being like the most unusual card out here was okay. Definitely had some tight spots where Fourth Rebirth, particularly in game 1 of the Mirror, could have been nice, but for Affinity and Boros, definitely felt that like Koldatha would have been really weak to be more focused on those matchups. So I felt good about that deck building decision to be on 3 instead of 4. And yeah, the sideboard again, we're in a pretty narrow meta game. Narrow in the sense of like the decks that are at the top. Like I think it's important to recognize that like it's not like the most deck diverse time in Pauper, but the gameplay is really good at the moment, and there's a lot of variety in how the games play out, even in the same matchup. That's just makes it really fun and good right now. So even if it's a bit more narrow, that's okay. But I'm rambling really bad here, as it's now 1:30 in the morning. But thank you so much for sticking it out, watching the whole video. Hopefully get to be back doing these at a more regular interval. I appreciate you coming back and checking it out after that long hiatus, but we'll see. Life, my real life comes first, so I still want to be trying to do this, but if things come up, that's how it is, and that's okay. But I appreciate you watching this and hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks.